President Trump telling the New York Post he's considering forcing Congress to return for a rare special session to resolve the record-long funding lapse for the Department of Homeland Security. Lawmakers currently on recess until April 14th, a date that would mark 2 full months without pay for this agency. This would be the first special session since 1948, when President Harry Truman forced Congress back to Washington for a debate on health care, civil rights, and Social Security. The only other comparable instance dates back to 1856, before the Civil War. Senate Republicans, meanwhile, preparing a budget reconciliation bill to fund DHS for 3 years without Democratic support, aiming to secure funding for agencies, including ICE, CBP, TSA, FEMA, and the Coast Guard. Joining me now is Georgia Congressman Richard McCormick. Congressman, your reaction to those comments from President Trump to the New York Post saying he will force you to come back?
I'm ready to go back to work. I know that we've done our part. We sent the CR back over to the Senate. What they did in the middle of the night, where they really had nobody on record, people don't realize they had no vote. They just had no opposition. And then they left town, went on their vacations. Very, very deceptive to me. We actually voted. We passed the CR, sent it back over to them, and said, let's fund the government. Let's get back to work. The fact that he's doing something, meaning the president, by calling us back, if he does that, people are going to say, oh, we haven't done that in ages. Well, we have also never frozen the government every year when we don't get our way from the minority. This is the longest times we've ever been shut down, twice now in a row. You can see they're trying to accomplish from the minority what they could never accomplish from the majority, and I think it's despicable.
Well, you know, Congressman, we've heard lots of whys as to why we are sitting here today with DHS still shut down, even though luckily TSA agents are now getting paychecks. But that was thanks to President Trump. I want to listen to Representative Lisa McClain and what she told Maria about the idea of reconciliation and where we go from here.
Well, I'm not going to roll the dice on passing another reconciliation bill with our national security. We're going to fund it. But explain to me why the funding is at zero in the bill that we got in the wee hours of the night, and that all the authority has been taken away from Homeland. It's not going to happen. House Republicans are not going to let that happen. Let's pass a clean CR for 60 days. Since we're in the middle of negotiation, it's passed the House in a bipartisan fashion. We even had some Democrats come along with us. The Senate seems to be willing to negotiate. Let's stop taking hostages while we negotiate. Let's pay the people, but let's make sure that our borders are secure and the American people are safe.
Do you have the support for a reconciliation package before the midterms?
We have a 1-seat majority, Maria. I hope we could do a reconciliation, but hope isn't a strategy.
You know, Congressman, there's an article in The Hill today that kind of points out to kind of the battle here, and it says that Republicans worry about the uphill climb in paying for another bill that's going to be Republican-led only without any Democratic support. You've got that. And also, you know, if you do have the fiscal hawks start to come out and say, you know, wait a minute, you've got to make sure that there are pay-fors in this. The other side of this is if negotiations begin within you and your conference, that you and your colleagues are going to have things that you're going to want to confirm that you will support something else, a new path forward.
And sure, I consider myself one of those fiscal hawks, but we all came to the table. We realized we all have to make sacrifices. None of us were going to get our way, and we got it done. Nobody thought we can do 12 appropriations bills this year, yet we got it done. With the slimmest majorities, we continue to get it done. I think that's the great teamwork. You've never seen a more united Republican Party. I came in expecting a lot of gridlock inside my own party. I've never seen this kind of compromise inside of a party where I'm not getting my way. The moderates aren't getting their way, but we're getting it done. I think that's a really good sign that people keep on looking over. But quite frankly, this whole thing started back in 2020 during the last census when California, Illinois, and New York started losing congressional seats because people were moving out by the millions. And now we let in 13 congressional seats worth of people, and they don't want those people moved back out again, because they know they're going to lose power if they do that. This is their one hill to die on, because they believe if we start sending people who came here illegally back out of the country, they lose power, and that's what they're not willing to do.
Understood. And of course, you're talking about reconciliation, but then you're also talking about, what about the $200 billion request from the Department of War to fund military operations? So there's a lot on the plate from a fiscal standpoint for you and your colleagues in the House. Also, with regards to Iran. So President Trump's set to address the nation tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I want to get your thoughts on that because this is an important update on Iran. They are signaling the end of the Iran conflict is just weeks away. Listen to this.
I think we're 2 or 3 weeks.
Not 3 weeks. If it is
We'll
3
leave
weeks,
because there's no reason for us to do this. Look, now it's possible that we'll make a deal before that because we'll hit bridges, and we've hit some. We'll hit some bridges. We've got a couple of nice bridges in mind. But if they come to the table, that'll be good. But it doesn't matter whether they come or not. We've set them back. It'll take 15 to 20 years for them to rebuild what we've done to them.
The Wall Street Journal is reporting that President Trump told aides he's willing to end the conflict without reopening the Strait of Hormuz. The UAE is reportedly preparing to join the fight to force the Strait open. Congressman, you spent 2 decades serving as a Marine and in the Navy. Your thoughts on where we are right now?
Well, one thing I actually like about the president, he doesn't give all of his hand. He has enough troops there, enough 82nd Airborne, 2 Marine Expeditionary Units to do pretty much anything he wants to, even on the ground if he needed to. I don't think he wants to put boots on the ground, but if we wanted to, we could take Carg Island pretty easily and maintain it. He could do almost anything, and that keeps everybody else off balance, unlike other presidents who have basically projected what they're going to do exactly on what date and what they're going to do, which is a horrible plan strategically and tactically. This president keeps you guessing, and I think that's a good thing when it comes to an enemy combatant and what plans we could or could not execute into the future.
Well, a UAE official said the Iranian regime thinks it's fighting for its existence and it's willing to bring the global economy down with a continued chokehold on the strait. Does that concern you?
Well, they are, absolutely. I mean, think about it. They have nobody of name that they can put in front of a camera and say, this is our leader, because they know it's whack-a-mole. And can you imagine being a leader in Iran right now going against Israel and the United States when they select to take you out? They have no leadership. If they topple, their people will literally turn on them and kill them. So this is their last gasp. And if they don't succeed, the people will rise up just like they did before. But they are willing to kill tens of thousands of their own unarmed civilians. Imagine what they would do to us if they got nuclear arms.
All right. Congressman Richard McCormick, a lot at stake. We appreciate your time this morning, sir.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Semper Fi.
All right. Thank you, sir. And thank you for your service.